What is going on? You are watching and listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live version on the Get Vocal platform every Wednesday night. I'm your host, Steve V, alongside Cody Maurice Doggett. How are you?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really, really good. It was a hot one here, humid. We're in this weird roller coaster of weather in the East Coast, but yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It was good until it started raining. That was kind of crazy and out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. We are doing this show every Wednesday night on the Get Vocal platform. It's a live interactive show. If you're listening to this when this comes out, obviously you get it in your favorite podcast platform. News alert that we are going to have a new Get Vocal interface that's going to give us a lot more capabilities. We're going to be able to share some images with you. Cody and I were on there the other day testing it out, and it was a lot of fun, right?
So much fun. I cannot wait for it to go live. It's going to be so interactive. And so there's so many things we can do with it. I'm just excited to play around with it.
Me too. Well, a couple of another news thing that I wanted to let you guys know that I'm really excited about is this coming Monday, this coming Tuesday, because Monday's Memorial Day. I'm going to be in the audience of Wendy Williams. I know she's opening up as things start to open up. She's opening up her audience. And I am literally a block away from the studio where Wendy Williams shoots her show. And
what?
I know I'm really excited to do that, partly for many reasons, because I'm a fan of the show, partly because it's the first day she's opening up the audience to regular. And lastly, I think it's a good omen because we are now shopping Tags TV, y'all. We shot the TV pilot and and so we're shopping it around right now. And so part of a little bit of inspiration we got was from Wendy Williams for the live for our TV show. And so I thought it'd be a good omen as we're shopping it around to be in the audience as on day one when she opens up the studio audience. So that should be a lot of fun. Yeah, I will report back on all that went on. Okay, let's get into it. So much to talk about. Our first story comes from, we love a good stripper and a dancer.
Yes, we do.
Cannot get it. Unfortunately, this one comes out of Vegas and is labeled as a bad, tragic dancer. They're calling this dancer. Now, mind you all, this was in Las Vegas, a strip place. I'm not sure where it really was. It looked like a hotel
room. Yeah.
Like a nice hotel room. And these women are sitting around, excuse me, as this guy is in kind of a security looking outfit, right, Cody?
Which is strange already. Okay, all right.
So what happened was this guy, they're labeling him Tragic Mike. It's the perfect name for this sad video thread, according to Instinct magazine. A certain stripper has been trending on TikTok and Twitter after people got a look at his dancing skills, and unfortunately, they weren't very impressed. The trending moment began when the TikTok account posted videos of herself and her friends sitting around a personal strip performance. According to videos she posted earlier, the group had arrived in Las Vegas for vacation. They then decided to enjoy one of the common sources of entertainment in the city. But again, they ended up not really liking what they paid for. And Cody, I don't know if you saw the video.
I watched the whole thing.
Can you name, first of all, the guy starts off, he looks Latino, he looks hot. You can tell he has a great body. He's got a security outfit on. And so my mind went to, this is going to be good, right? Like he's hot. He's definitely my type of guy, built, and at least in my fantasy world of strippers. And when he starts to perform, I don't know if you knew the song. It's actually our other co-host on Tag's podcast, one of his favorite songs of all time, which is
What
hilarious
is it? I don't remember.
because Jeremy Ross Lopez, our co-host, is a millennial, and the song came out way before. Genuine's Pony.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you're horny, right, and
Let's
something.
do it.
It's
Riding my
my
pony.
pony. Sing it, Cody.
I
Sing
don't know. We're out here singing today.
it. Already, we're starting early,
I
and
know, right?
so that song starts off, which is a classic stripper song to dance to. So what happens is the guy starts moving, and his moves are like, if you guys are watching it, it's like, you know what I like to describe it as, if
Okay.
somebody didn't know how to dance, and or when you're learning choreography, and so choreography is like, okay, arm to the right, then you're going to do arm to the left, then you're going to throw your arms up, and then you're going to lay it out. Okay,
He
I
was
just gave you some
definitely
choreography
doing.
for you all if you're listening to this. What he did was, in the performance on stage, was just that. It's the talked through part that you're supposed to blend through. It should be like uh 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 and
Okay. Give us a
work it
full count.
and work it out. He
Yeah.
forgot that moment. So what's hilarious in the video is all these women are sitting there. One woman's not even paying attention. She's on her phone.
Yeah.
Some women are filming it, but there's a constant giggle in the background of a woman just she can't. And they're all Black women, and they know that what they're looking at is tragic, but it's
Yeah.
you can't keep your eyes off of it. What did you think?
It was like a train wreck. And like you said, you could just see him thinking the entire time, oh, this is what we need to do now. Oh, and there, if you listen, there's a specific part where he's like, oh,
I'm doing the dance right now, y'all.
It's very robotic and not at all what I would expect a stripper to do. The rhythm fairy missed his ass completely. I don't know where he got out of line or something when they were giving out rhythm, but it just goes to show that you need more than a hot body to be a stripper nowadays.
You do, and it brings out, I mean, he's offered a lot of entertainment. He certainly made it here over to Tags Live, and so
Right.
you know, I'm not really mad at him. He certainly looks hot, and I have been known to visit a stripper scene here and there in
Oh really?
Oh yeah, I love it. I kind of like the
Tell me
whole,
more.
and not all of them can dance, and sometimes they can. I'm kind of for all of them. There's ones here in New York City where they simply dance and do their thing, and oftentimes they're kind of like, maybe not as bad, but kind of like that.
Oh really?
And then they will come around the audience. I'm thinking of this bar, Monster Bar, and they'll come, and if you're interested, they'll grab your hand and make you feel special and lead you to the back room where you get to have a private dance with them. Now, you know very well when you're back there in that cubicle, you don't need them to have the moves. You just want to see what? The D. Or the ass. I mean, I'm just saying that. Well,
they show you all that in the back in the. I need to go back in the.
You
back
need to go with me, and I'll give you all the look. But no, but even if they're there, you can have a good time feeling their butt, or it's not. There's obviously not a lot of room to break out in the moves to Genuine. They're kind of just doing their thing, and I don't know. Do you have prerequisites for dancers that?
They just have to be able to dance, really, honestly. They don't even really have to have a hot body as long as they can dance. I like to see a stripper that can actually move his body. If they have a hot body, you know what? That's just icing on the cake, but you have to be able to dance. That's my first and foremost thing that I look for. But did you watch the whole video? In the middle of the performance, he got a phone call and the music went off.
Oh no, because it was tied to his phone.
Yes, it was just horrible.
I mean, that's nuts. You know, we do shows like this where we're Instagramming. Have another cocktail, Steve. And we've got our phone over like this here. Yeah. But I make sure I turn off everything.
All the notifications.
Yeah, because
keep it professional.
Keep it professional. Come on now. On the other hand, he's making the world stratosphere of laughs, and I don't know, but I'm going to post this on tagspodcast.com tomorrow and in show notes for episode 268. If you want to see this video, it's hilarious. You got to watch it. Just a quick gloss over, since we're in Las Vegas and we're talking about strippers in other news. There was a stripper, another straight hustler bar, right, Cody? The Hustler Club,
Hustler
Larry
bar.
Flynt's Hustler Club, that in order to continue to get people vaccinated and incentivized, because as we're seeing across the country, there's been a stagnation in people wanting to get the vaccination, and people are giving people, like, there's lotteries going on, there's people are paying for a chance to pay for your college tuition, there's little things like get a beer at a restaurant if you get vaccinated. Well, this place, Larry Flynt's Hustler Club in Las Vegas, was offering the vaccination, and lo and behold, it's actually working. It's got people who otherwise wouldn't have considered getting it to get it, because they figured they're comfortable in that place. And let's face it, if you're into stripper clubs and bars like I am, you need to, if you can, you need to get vaccinated. And I know most of us can, and it's healthy for most of us speaking, but you owe it to them to get vaccinated. If you're going to get all up in some dancer's business, they're putting themselves at risk. Really, I think they're my front liner.
That was that was a good one. It's just the way you put it that made me giggle. If you're going to get all up in their business, that was
you know where I want to put it. Yeah. Just saying. All right. We've got to get to this next story, though, before we get into our vulnerable voices. This next story really kind of freaked me out. There is a former porn star, you guys. I'm going to try and tell this story succinctly. There's a former porn star, gay porn star, he went by the name Chip Tanner. And I remember hearing about this last December. I think he was a gymnast too, and that resonated with me. And at the time, I remember reading that there was a notice that he had passed away. He had died due to auto asphyxiation, which was very sad in Nevada. I think Las Vegas as well. Wow, we're keeping it in trend. And
if we're going to do it, we're going to do it all the way, right?
And I remember hearing about that, and it seemed tragic, and I couldn't help but think of, wow, who does he leave behind, and what a crazy way to go. Well, lo and behold, he's popped up recently, and one of the sites that we always talk about are thirst trap sites, straight up gay porn. They're kind of an authority when they're reporting on porn stars, and there's a writer, Zach, that's really up on this. Well, it turns out that former gay porn star Chip Tanner is alive after all. Last year, an apparent hoax connected to his home invasion arrest and a conviction. And so I'll just read you a little bit about what Zach wrote about. Straight Up Gay Porn can report today that former gay porn star Chip Tanner is alive. And if you recall, a so-called friend of Chip Tanner, who had identified himself as Tanner's benefactor, he wrote to Straight Up last year to announce that Chip Tanner, aka Jamie Stroud, which is his real name, had died accidentally while performing autoerotic asphyxiation on himself last December. So Tanner's body, the benefactor wrote, was found approximately 24 hours after he died in Las Vegas. And while Straight Up wrote that it was unable to independently confirm Tanner's death when posting the news last Christmas Eve, the writer took the benefactor at his word. And they really lay out in this article that I'm quoting from the exchange that this benefactor and the amount of time that this guy took to kind of create a picture of that he had died, right? Yeah. Well, here's where the story changes, because recently, this year, as of March 5th of this year, The writer received an email from someone purporting to be Chip Tanner, but calling themselves Jet Virgin. And the subject line read, Jamie is alive. And he included some videos of himself. Now, Cody, I don't know if you watched any of these videos, but what were your
I
first
watched both
thoughts?
of them.
Okay, what were your thoughts? And describe to our audience what some of these videos contained in them to paint a picture.
Okay. When I watched the videos, I was so disturbed and taken aback. Even just reading this story had me like, what is going on? Jamie, the person that's in the video, he is clearly he's having some mental issues. I feel like is what's going on, and he has cuts on his hands that he says are from their electrical burns, and he's describing an incident with the FBI and saying that he got chased by the FBI and they've been looking for him for a very long time. I read in the article that there were no reports of the FBI actually being in Nevada at that time. So the legitimacy of that claim is still up in the air. It's just alleged at this time. It was, go ahead, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, and what we can report, according to the writer, because then he was wondering when were these videos recorded, right? Were they recorded? Is he really still dead? Is this somebody faking, emailing now? But the writer goes on to say, as of January 15th of this year, 3 weeks after the death announcement, Tanner, or Stroud, his real last name, was arrested in Las Vegas on a felony home invasion charge, as well as charges of unlawful re-entry, giving a false statement to a police officer. Tanner Stroud was apparently released on bail in February, and which is when he made these videos, allegedly, and when he failed to appear at a hearing in March. A warrant was issued for his arrest, and he did end up sometime between mid-March and mid-April. Tanner Stroud was apprehended or turned himself back in because he was back in court. This is reported on April 16th to plead guilty to a reduced misdemeanor charge. The home invasion charge appears to have been dropped, and he was sentenced to 10 days in jail. That's kind of where no one's heard from him since. The writer goes on to say that he's emailed that initial benefactor, the one that we told you about that initially reported on Tanner's death. No response from him. He also replied back to this person alleging to be Tanner Stroud and never got a response back. He will continue to report back, as we will, because it's kind of crazy, right?
It's so out of this world, and it's so sad. If you watch the videos, he's weeping, and it's just so, it pulls at your heartstrings because it's so heart-wrenching to see this man go through what I can only assume is a mental breakdown. And it just further highlights how mental health in this country and day and age needs to be taken more seriously. I can't understand how this man is not getting the help that he needs, because somebody even mentioned that it might be Graves' disease. What were you going to say?
Yeah, people have talked about, because if they just looked at the video, I'll put this link up on Tag's podcast, but if you look at these videos, his eyes seemingly are somewhat sunken and enlarged. Not the pupils, but maybe the pupils too, but just the eyes in general, which sometimes has been associated with Graves' disease or Lyme disease, perhaps. There was commentary that said, oh, is he on drugs? Is this somebody meth? There was marks on his hands that seemingly are unexplainable. He is jumping around, though, in the videos about explaining his story, and that a lot of it doesn't seem to make sense at all. And then, to your point, though, about mental illness, it's just there's a lot of loose ends about this alleged benefactor who had a first and last name. Tanner hasn't been in porn in several years. So what was the purpose of then reporting back? It's just there's a lot of loose ends. That's all we got for you. Yeah. Any other last remarks that you wanted to say on this before we move on, or just
Yeah, I hope my heart goes out to him, and I hope he's okay.
Yes, as we get more information, we will report back on this developing story, and we wish him well for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, you know, we wanted to talk about the story that Cody brought to my attention, and apparently, in Vulnerable Voices, our longstanding segment that we've done since we started the show, and where we get a little bit deeper. And this one I couldn't help but not notice when you brought it to my attention. Essentially, you said there was Instagram and a Twitter thread going on of people questioning, is kink at Pride acceptable? And people have been going on this debate on Twitter, essentially saying, should we not be making Pride accessible to all people and not having kink or any kind of sexual activity happening at Pride? Now, Cody, you know the story a little bit more than I do, but when you read this, did they mean Pride as in the Pride parade?
I think they mean Pride in general, but specifically the Pride parade.
Okay. And there's been a lot of debate when I read the Twitter thread going on about accessibility to all as families are there and what people will ultimately think of ours. But of course, a lot of other people had other things to say about it. What was your general consensus in a nutshell of why people were up in arms, and why were they on both sides of our upcoming Pride? Like, and lastly, I know this is the last, but why is there a lot of emphasis right now on Pride, other than it's coming up?
I think that people are so up in arms about it because they want the inclusivity of things, of Pride has been kind of missing. It's just been, as far as what is transcribed to the public, is it's just one specific type of gay person, and they do this one specific type of thing, and they want to include everyone. But my feeling on this is, you make your Pride what you want your Pride to be. Pride is for everyone. At the end of the day, if you want to go out and blow 6 guys in the back alley, keep it in the back alley where there's no kids. No kids are supposed to be in the back alley, guys.
Yeah.
Or in the back room or in the bathroom stall. If you want to wear a jock strap in the Pride parade, it's not up to me. I want to wear a jock strap in the Pride parade. I would be honored if somebody asked me to wear a jock strap in the Pride parade. It's not up to me to raise someone else's kids and teach them about jock straps. My kids, when I have kids, they're going to know what a jock strap is. They're going to be washing my clothes, and they're going to see the jock strap in the laundry, and they're going to say, "Dad, what is this?" And I'm going to say, "Son, that's a jock strap."
Where have you been? Right. And and many of us gays, myself included, I know I was talking kind of off topic, but I met a guy and I went home with him and we had a nice night. We're going to have a date soon. But when I was, apparently he didn't notice at the night when I went home with him, but the next morning I was putting my underwear on. Okay, not underwear, my jock strap on. And he said, "Oh, wait a minute." And he was going to pull up the shade to his window, which apparently faced a major street. And he said, "Oh, okay, you don't have underwear there." I said, "No, I have a jock strap." And for 2 seconds, I almost felt like, ashamed kind of, but I got over it. And he didn't make me feel bad about it. It was something in my internalized head. And it's something I wrote on my notes is, we let a lot of other people, and I think it's kind of my point here, we let a lot of other people dictate what Pride means to us. And to your point, Pride is something personal to every person. So when you let other people, whether it's businesses, there's a great SNL skit that happened last weekend on the episode where Pride's back, and they do this great skit on Pride and how it's overblown, and how essentially there's, people are always things like, "I drank too much," or he didn't call me back, and we yeah. And then lastly, it's the businesses that are like Deutsche Bank is always sponsoring. And who the F is Deutsche Bank? And what do they have to do with Pride? And, so it's funny. And so those were some of my thoughts, that it is a personal thing, Pride.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, and the other thing I wrote is, so I wrote so many people telling us what pride is supposed to mean to us. But to me, also, part of being prideful, I was talking about it yesterday on Clubhouse,
Okay.
is I got into the BDSM culture and
Hmm.
learned a lot about the culture of wearing leather and the community that is the BDSM culture. And to me, that made me feel more prideful and part of a community than ever before. A
Yeah.
lot of it is wearing leather jock straps and so on and so forth. Am I going to let somebody tell me that that's not? And I've been, the one time I was on a pride float was
Hmm.
for the Eagle Bar, and I had so much fun. Am I going to let somebody tell me that that's too much, or I should tone that down? I don't think so. I don't know.
No,
What are your
I don't
thoughts
think
on
you
that?
should. I really honestly don't think you should. For me, pride is all about letting my hair down, my gay ass hair down. It's a towel that I got from my bathroom, just like it was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But it means that I get to be me unabashedly in a world that is normally for straight white gay men. I mean,
Yeah.
straight white men. So it's really the only time where I feel like the world is for me. So I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to live my life the way I want to live my life, and I'm not going to let anyone shame me into thinking any differently.
It's an interesting debate that's been launched on Twitter because most of it seems to be between our own community. And I can't help but think when we fight within our own community, we're not
Mhm.
doing anybody a disservice. I don't know where this thread originated from, but to your point, pride is what you make it.
Mhm.
And Twitter wars are not the way. You're only going to offend and tell somebody that their lifestyle choice is wrong. And often when that's coming from your own people, it hurts
Yeah.
more. I can't help but think of back in the 70s, the infamous San Francisco Castro Street Fair
Mhm.
came about, and they didn't like what was going on with the Folsom Street Fair
Okay.
and no, excuse me, not the Folsom Street Fair, the leather community. So in other words, they didn't really want them. This is documented in Folsom Forever, a really great documentary that you can watch. And what they were essentially saying in that documentary was when the Castro Street Fair came about, Harvey Milk started it. I don't think
Mhm.
it was him. Many of the gays, not all of them, but many of the gays didn't want the leather gays to kind of come over to the
And
Castro
take
Street
over.
Fair
Uh-huh.
because it was at the height of the AIDS epidemic and they didn't want to be associated. They didn't want to be associated with that, not because they didn't care about them, but because they thought you guys, by your lifestyle,
What?
created, yes, by your lifestyle choices, in other words, sex positive, created this HIV problem that we have now.
What?
And it's documented in this, and it's not all, believe me, it's not
I have to
all
go watch that.
gays. But it was a war that was happening. And I was really fired up about it when I saw this. Again, it's Folsom Forever. Mike Schiff is the director. He since passed on, but I was fortunate to interview him. But it's documented in this, and in one sense I was enraged by that.
Mhm.
Again, it would almost be the same kind of war, the Twitter wars that are happening now about what's going on, but back
Yeah.
then. However, it I couldn't get so mad at it too because AIDS, nobody was helping and addressing from government the AIDS epidemic at the time. So to me, yeah, I think I could be enraged because I would have definitely been more, I think, for the leather side, but I don't know. I don't know. And it's hard for me to
Yeah.
get so upset and put myself in that. I don't
I
know.
mean, hindsight is 2020, so
Yeah.
it's hard to kind of say what side of the fence you would be on right now, and as opposed to living in the moment. So, but I think right now we need to. I think people are very hung up on making pride for everyone. And if they want pride to be for everyone, then that includes the leather people, that includes the dykes on bikes. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that anymore, but I said
I
it.
think so.
That's what they're called. So that's what I'm going to
Yeah.
say. That
Feel free to
includes
correct us. We always are willing to change if we
Exactly.
corrected. Yeah.
Yes.
But you better back it up.
It means the muscle boys that are on the floats at that their pride is for those people as well. It's for the families, and it's for those. I think a lot of this is stemming from making pride safe for people are coming out younger and younger. So they want those kids to feel safe at pride. So, and I completely understand that, but don't try and hamper my expression of my sexuality and myself by putting your child into the mix. I'm going to do everything I can to be respectful to your child while they're there, but there are certain spaces your child should not be in at the end of the day. That's how I feel.
Yeah, it's interesting. And pride, you got to make it what it is for you, and you can't get so. It is gonna. We are evolving in some ways. It's just the LGBTQ is becoming more mainstream, but in other ways they're not. When there's a death of a trans person seemingly every day that is not even reported on, there's a big problem. And we're going to talk about police in a little bit here, in just a second. But you can't ignore that it's evolving all the time. I mean, just before we went live here, I glanced at my phone and there was Pride celebration, and it was all these parties happening that have nothing to, well, they do have stuff to do with pride, but they're not related to pride. They're dance parties where guys are going to be having their shirts off and stuff's going to be happening there. It's how some people, the one thing I will say is if you're never experienced a pride parade, just the traditional pride parade, I did in San Francisco, and my first pride is very memorable to me. And I had people that really knew the history of it and took me under their wings, and that was very special to me. Since World Pride was the other one that just happened in New York a few years ago, and it was very, very special here in New York City. Aside from that, though, I have some just great memories of times when I haven't celebrated and times when I partied. The last thing I'll say about it is it's a great month to learn about history, and there's so many things out there right now, from Pose to FX's current docu-series that happens, that's been happening. It's in 6 parts, and you can find it. Pride. You can find out about that. There's a great show on Netflix right now about Halston, where you can find out about the great legendary gay designer Halston. We could go on and on. There's Folsom Forever, where you could learn about the leather community by Mike Schiff. I mean, we could really go on and on. Listing.
I kind of want to ask you how you feel about Halston being played by a straight guy.
You know, I don't mind it because I think the actor is such a good one. And what's his name? He was
Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor. Thank you. Yeah. And you know, I don't mind that. It's not it doesn't bother me. I think when we can search for great gay actors to fill the roles, we should do it. But I don't think your resume should say gay actor, and then you should immediately only these people in this pile should only get the part. I don't really think that way. I think the best person, and I think Ewan McGregor, as I've heard, has done a great job. And from what I've heard, it's not a flattering role at all times, because he wasn't the most nice person all the time. He was ruthless, but I don't know. I think it doesn't bother me. You?
I just think there are so many talented gay actors out there that one of them should have got the opportunity. But I will watch it, and then I will give you my opinion on whether or not he was the correct pick for that.
And it's a deeper conversation, I think, that we can continue to have on a future show. And I love that for you for mentioning that. Any comments before we move on about pride and this debate?
Greg said that he just read today that in Chicago, pride is being moved to October.
Ooh, okay.
Which I think is a shame. Yeah.
And he said something about wearing a jock strap. Did he not? I would be more than willing to wear my black leather jock strap to Pride. Greg, you and me both could wear it.
I want the pictures, okay?
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, this is a great time to move on to our next story, which is kind of related. You know, there's been this whole debate here in New York City with our Pride. The organizers of it, Heritage of Pride, have announced that they are forbidding the New York Police Department from participating in the Pride Parade. Now, many of you might know that the New York Police Department has always had a placeholder as the fire department in the Pride Parade. They've marched. They've also had security. Well, this year, essentially, Heritage of Pride decided that they don't want police officers, at least until 2025.
I know.
Now, so I have a lot to say about this.
Start us off.
A lot of it has to do with Black Lives Matter and what's happened in the last year. And a lot of it, I'm paraphrasing a lot of this right now, a lot of it also has to do, I just know the reasoning, is because so many LGBTQ people, they've been documented, have been harassed or threatened by police in general in the last year or several years, actually, not just now. And so that is sort of their reasoning. I think the idea, though, because there's a whole group of New York police officers, I don't have the name in front of me, but that are of LGBTQ. They go by the acronym, and they often march in the parade. And somebody was quoted as saying it was like a slap in the face to not have a part in the parade. To me, I don't really understand this thinking, and to me, it doesn't push the needle forward in terms of solution. It's sort of redactive in a lot of ways and stagnant the conversation. It also seems like the fact that they would even state until maybe 2025 seems like you're talking to a little kid and you're punishing them. Maybe if you're good by 2025, we'll talk about it and we'll revisit the situation and this kind of shaming thing. And I'm like, okay, I get what's happening in the world, but so what they're going to have is trained people, security. But what I also didn't appreciate too was they said, unless in the event of something severe, then we will call on the police. So it's like, oh, okay, I get it. So when we really think we need them, we'll call on you. And I'm kind of like, this is it seems, I don't know, stagnant and not pushing the needle positively forward at all, in my opinion. I don't know. What were your thoughts?
I'm kind of on the other side of the fence about it. I totally see where this is coming from. I think it's a decision, like you said, that's in direct response of everything that's been going on this past year. And not only that, but also with the brutality that gay people received during Stonewall, which is the inception of Pride and the reason that Pride is actually happening. So I can see where this is coming from. I hope that the police department looks at this and says, maybe we should make some changes and kind of work with the community more, and so that they can march in 2025. And they're not saying that the police officers march in the parade. They're saying they can't do it in uniform. So
correct, but there was always a presence. Almost there was an actual name for these police officers that were. I think that they marched correct in the parade.
Yeah. I remember seeing them in the parade several times.
So if we're about inclusivity, everything's about inclusivity right now. We're now doing the Heritage of Pride, to me, is doing the opposite. We're in a year right now of inclusivity. This is the opposite, and not even giving those that are of LGBTQ acronym so now we need to, which many of them are on the front lines and are fighting for our rights every day. It just seemed like a great opportunity for Heritage of Pride to have come to the New York Police Department and had a conversation way ahead of time to lay out some of these things and done something with the press, a whole press junket on a new movement. Maybe that would culminate in 2025 with a whole geared effort that could have been culminated. So when we got to Pride here, instead of
excluding them,
okay, and putting that out there, like, no, it doesn't seem like growth to me at all. It seems like punishment. And the word and I hear your point about where Stonewall began, but we've included the police since then, and those police officers aren't the same police officers, yes, but it could have been such a great step forward towards positivity and a unification of a new department. Like if they had already been talking about this before. Instead, I heard that organizer of Heritage of Pride, and he rubbed me the wrong way when I saw his press thing about it, and I just thought, you are so behind, and just it seems snitty to me and not at all the way I think at all. I think it's completely wrong and will backfire in a lot of ways. I stand by that theory, but we want to hear from you. You're on the opposite side, yeah.
But I think that, and I gotta get this in. I think that
get it in.
They are listening to the will of the people, and I think that the optics of having the Pride Parade, the police march and the Pride Parade would not look. It wouldn't look good, and it's a difficult decision, and I understand it because I see your point. I definitely think that people should be able to march in Pride, like police officers, everybody should, right? Yeah. But at this point in time, in this year where we had so many riots opposing the police, that it's just not fathomable. I can only see the reactions in my head of the police officers marching in Pride.
Well, there's never a right time. There's never a right time for a change, a major change. I don't think stopping and saying not until maybe 2025, there better be a plan behind that then that is work with them or a handout to what can we do together. From what I read, it was just you're forbidden to participate with many of them, particularly in New York City, that are of LGBTQ, felt like it was a slap in the face. And I don't know. I just kind of agree with that. And we'll see.
Yeah.
Do you want the last word? I'll give you the last word. Get the last word in. Okay.
You know, I was chomping at the bit. I just want to point out that it's brutality against our people, gay people in the Pride Parade is still going on with police, because just in the past couple of years, I don't know if it was last year, I was looking for it. That's what I was trying to read. But a group of people were pepper sprayed by the police.
Yeah, no doubt. So there is a lot.
It's still happening.
Oh yeah, and by all means, that was one of the points that I had made, that there is brutality. There is, daily it seems there's another trans person that is murdered, and the police don't seem to be doing enough about it or acknowledging it. Even there's been slurs thrown at. There was a recent police cam that documented police officers not here in New York, but somewhere, using the F word towards, which one I'm talking about, that we don't like. And so, no, it's not, I don't discount any of that. I just think this maybe wasn't the wisest, but I hear you, and we want to hear from you too on this heated conversation.
It's a very difficult decision, and I'm glad that they're sticking to their guns. So.
And it's that time as we wrap up our favorite thirst trap moment. I just put it in the comments section.
Thank you, darling.
Each week from Straight Up Gay Porn, again, there's our favorite thirst trap. 21 porn stars, 22 of them actually took some of the hottest videos of the week and pictures, and it's our job to describe which one got us thirsty. And I will post this on Teg's podcast. We want you to weigh in. I guess I'll start. I was so conflicted on this one. There was so many. There's a guy goes by Big Dick Fig, who has the most beautiful. I don't even like those neck tattoos that cover the whole neck. It works on him
now.
I love his dick. It's thick, it's meaty. He seems like a nice guy too. Look at me. It seems like a nice guy.
He's like a nice guy.
I couldn't help but notice D'Angelo Jackson, who's been on our show before.
Bitch, don't steal mine, okay?
Hot. Calvin Banks. Calvin Banks is sitting on a bathtub with a huge dildo looking like he's ready to sit on it, looking down on us. And he's got a come hither look that I cannot wish. But my favorite goes to, is it this one? I almost have to press play to. Yes, I do. Christian Styles at Christian _ Sty, STY, Christian _ Sty. And he is with somebody else in this video. I'm watching it right now on my screen, and he's giving head to this really hot guy, and then
Chris
damned.
Yeah,
and damn, and then he does a whole foot fetish moment where he's sucking and licking, smelling the guy's Chris Damn's sexy feet, or maybe it's the other one. And then the video goes on where one's sitting on a couch on top of the other one's dick, and it's the best fucking. They're having a lot of fun writing. He's writing. I don't know who is. Sorry, I don't know which one's writing who. Chris Styles might be writing Chris Damned.
Yeah, I don't know who is who.
Let me see. Okay, yeah. Chris Styles is writing Chris Damned because Chris Damned has the tattoos, and it's really, really hot. Okay, what's your favorite? That's my favorite, though.
It's really hot. I just watched the video.
Did I describe it okay?
I was like,
when I have my other screen, I can't see your face because I'm looking at another screen. Yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
My favorite is D'Angelo Jackson.
Yes.
I've had a huge crush on him for a very, very long time. And he's just so adorable. And he spread eagle on a bed, and he is playing with his nipples. It's a video. He's playing with his nipples, and his dick is just getting progressively harder and harder and harder, and then he starts to masturbate, and it's so hot.
The nipple play and the correlation to his dick and him looking in his face. D'Angelo is like a winner, and he was so nice when he was on this show, or my previous show, Sex with Stevie.
I never met him.
Sorry. When he was on Sex with Stevie, he was couldn't have been nicer. And so again, not the niceness. Greg says, I love D'Angelo Jackson too. Yes, exactly.
And he says Dalton Riley too, because Dalton Riley is my second favorite on this one. He has on these tight black leather or vinyl pants, and they are so sexy, Steve. I want these pants. I want what's in those pants.
When Greg said he watched the video too that I was talking about, and it's so hot. Yeah. Yes, it's like this amazing clip. Again, we will post these thirst traps on tagspodcast.com beginning tomorrow around noon. So check it out, and we want you to weigh in. Well, this is their time. This is the end of your session, Cody Maurice Doggett. I'll see you next week.
In therapy. Hello.
In therapy. My new favorite show, In Therapy.
Yeah.
I think of myself as a therapist in my mind. But Cody actually is a life coach, and you can follow him on his life coaching at KMD Coaching. If you're looking to relationships or your career, Cody is your man at KMD Coaching, or his regular Instagram at Mr. Maurice. Mr. Maurice. Don't forget to follow us at Tags Podcast. That's right. And DM us for sex advice or relationship advice. We got your back. All right. We're back next week with a brand new show. We want to thank you. Thanks so much for playing.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Cody. So fun.
Thank you, Steve. Always a great time with you.
Absolutely.